We're back with What If History Restarted, now on episode 6. Last time there's a lot in the Mediterranean happening, with these Levantine countries going to war over this little country that was right there. This thing got independent. There's also these Italian kingdoms now. Plus Sicily. That is not Sicily, that's Corsica. So, starting in the Mediterranean, it's going to become a very important region of the world, just like it was in our timeline. So, because of that, a lot more exploration happens. The entire middle chunk is fully explored, with these islands also obviously being included. All that's really left, sure that's canon. All that's really left now is this little pocket that they missed on accident. These parts of the Black Sea, most of the Sea of Azov, it's Azov, I think. The tip of the Adriatic and this thing. But for the most part, the Mediterranean has been fully explored. With that, we're also going to see some exploration into more land, with starting over here in Iberia, with the Gibraltar people doing that. They don't expand too much, but they do expand a little bit. And they also push down into here. They're starting to get a little bit unstable. They are pretty big, and they have just been expanding, so some people are going to start naturally wanting independence. But for now, there's no actual rebellions or anything. Over here in Italy, we see another kingdom form down here in the south. That looks like that one. Sort of salmon-colored one is pretty small, pretty weak, but so are all of the Italian kingdoms. But it is going to start taking land in Sicily. But not that much, though, because after they start taking over most of the island, there's then a breakaway. So this thing breaks away. Now it's another new country, like that. Italy is very balkanized. And so there was just some of this land sort of falling in the rebellion. Greece continues doing their Greek things, pushing up and exploring a lot more. They're very expansionist, so they're also going to be expanding right after they find the oceans. It's not that much expansion, but there is some along the coast, as up into here. Cyprus feels pretty threatened by this, but since this land is pretty undeveloped and useless, they don't take it. This country also just chills because they're pretty weak and they need to, grow. But over here, the blue team does start making an effort to connect up with their other half over here. So they start pushing along that coast and this. Is it the coast if it doesn't touch the ocean? Because it's the Caspian Sea. I don't know. This country also doesn't do too much. They just, they expand out a little bit like that. Soon enough, we're also going to be seeing trade routes appear. Don't want to spoil anything, but the trade routes will be coming soon. So I just did spoil something. Especially over here in the Mediterranean. As these guys and these guys are now trading a lot. Well, everyone that borders the Mediterranean is trading a lot. Iberia, the Italian kingdoms, Greece, Cyprus, Egypt, and this thing. With how prosperous the Mediterranean has become, we're also going to see this sort of Carthaginian, sort of Tunisian, Libyan one guy thing up here. So it's a pale minty green, and its capital is right over in this tiny little bay / gulf. Over here, though, Egypt is going to continue exploring down the Nile River, which goes fairly well. But over here in the Lake Country, some things is going to get contested as they discover Lake Malawi. And with that discovery, Now, obviously, like I said, exploration over here was kind of taboo, but it was very close to what they had explored, so naturally some people were just going to walk over here and find it. So now there's a pretty big rebellion, well, not rebellion, a pretty big argument in this country going on. About half the people say that they should expand down to Lake Malawi and take it too, but the other half say that because in their weird religion sort of thing, that these lakes are the holy lakes, and that this one is just like some weird one that's unholy. And eventually, this protest is going to get very major, and it's going to break out into full rebellion. So, mostly in the south here along this lake, this pink team is going to rebel. The yellow team starts pushing along. This is a very weird war to fight because of this lake, but the yellow team pushes down there, and the pink team pushes up here. They start threatening this major city, so the yellow team redirects their troops instead of focusing them up here, now pushing down equally. So that didn't go too well for the pink team, but they have a backup plan. They run over here and they escape to Lake Malawi. The yellow team just kind of says good riddance, and then that's the end of that as they reclaim all this land. But the pink team is now going to set up their own thing over here at Lake Malawi. Most of these people here are like less in touch with their, I don't want to really say it's a religion, but it's more like a thought process / tradition. So yeah, the people here are like more skeptical of that. And they know that there's probably something over here, so they're going to actually explore, and they immediately find these guys. These three countries kind of start to become allies. I'm pretty sure these two guys broke off from each other, but maybe they made up. So now it's actually going to go pretty well for these countries as they trade between each other and begin to prosper. This country is definitely the most powerful, followed by Lake Malawi, even though it just formed, and then this. Is it Malawi or Malawi? I don't know. But anyway, over here, it's going to be pretty major discovery happens as they find Madagascar. I was about to call Madagascar Antarctica. I don't know why. So, just from these little ships, they catch a glimpse of this island and travel over to it. They then start exploring around, and they realize that it has to be pretty big, as we just kind of see these weird exploration groups move out. Stop doing that. One of them does manage to find the coast, though. And so this country's going to set up like a little colony over here on this side of the lake. Not lake. This sea, I guess. Is this the Sea of like Mozambique, I think? Well, maybe this is the Sea of Madagascar. I don't know. So over here, the lake country is kind of suffering from this because this is like I said, about half the people agree with these people, but only like a third actually are here or died in the war. But still, that's a third of their population gone. They're already kind of declining in power, but now they're like in full collapse. And so they don't like actually collapse, but their religion / thought process gets even stricter. They literally just force these people to move closer to the lakes as they're cut off like this. This is a very strange country, but it is a country. Over here, though, on the Nile River that's been recently explored, another little new guy pops up over here. These are just like travelers that are going down the Nile, and they decide that they want to make their own thing. So we see this African pink team get created on the Nile, obviously. So, recently there's been a lot of exploration and, making new countries, but we're going to go right back to countries taking over pre-existing ones. Greece is going to launch an invasion over here into this Italian kingdom, and it's really not that strong, so that's going to go pretty easily, though this country does join in and manage to take that, and Greece just kind of lets it go. Speaking of the Italian kingdoms, they do finish off the rest of this land. There's a rebellion, though, in this purple one, and they get their government overthrown. So that's a new country now. They then start invading the teal one, but then rebels pop up also, well, rebels pop up in the teal one as well. Take it over, grab that capital, and now they start going into the pink team instead. They leave the capital here, but a lot of these guys from the teal country, they decide that they want to be a country again. But they don't want to be the teal team again. So instead they make another new country, now over here. These kingdoms are very chaotic and unstable. You know, they are little interesting guys. Can you work there? So far out of the kingdoms though, this brown one's the most powerful, followed by this one, the orange one, pink one, Corsica, Sicily, and then the red one is the weakest, which is ironic because I think that's where Rome is in real life. So you could call this Rome if you really wanted to. I mean, if you count Greece as an Italian kingdom because of this, then technically, obviously, they would be the most powerful. Over here in the, what's this called? Persian Gulf region, we see Oman continue to expand along the border of this country, which kind of freaks it out. And I mean, they have the right to be freaked out because Oman does begin to invade. If I could do that. So Oman pushes in, and the red team quickly jumps in on this opportunity to, you know, get this land. And the poor beige-ish team did nothing wrong, but they're going to end up dying, probably. I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but what do you think is going to happen here? So the maroon team, not the red team is dead, pushes in and takes the capital. And, I mean, then the rest of the country falls, but this land is pretty uninhabited, so it just kind of dies. Their capital, though, is made into a major city, and Oman gets this. Persia and the maroon team are kind of allies, but they kind of don't like what they just did. Oh, why does it keep doing that? So they're actually going to go ahead and start an invasion of the red team. This catches them pretty off guard since Persia is weaker than them, so like, why would they do this? But they pretty easily capture this major city right here. Jumping in on this opportunity, Cyprus begins to push in, grabbing this major city quickly and then pushing down to the capital. Persia continues to push up here. The beige team does not come back though. There might be some slight rebellions, but they're put down pretty quickly. We see the blue team also now begin invasion. The blue team was kind of seen as the peacemaker, so this kind of goes against that, but they don't care. And most interestingly, we're going to see the red, that's not right, the red team makes a re-emergence, rebelling against the maroon team. We also see yet another rebellion that's just looking to overthrow the government. And so it is right up here in this northern part. Well, it's not looking to overthrow the government, it's looking to break away. And so the poor maroon team is just, they're surrounded on all sides. Cyprus takes over all this northern part. The red team manages to do very good, including reclaiming their old capital and this major city. The breakaway gets that, and that. Blue team gets this, and Persia gets that. So the maroon team just got beat up from all four sides, but that's too bad for them. And now we're going to look at how these countries, divided it up. So we're just going to do this. Blue team isn't going to get too much land to just grab all of this. Cyprus nabs up this major city, as well as some land over here. The breakaway kind of moves over into more of, what's it called, Anatolia. They actually get pretty big. They don't have any major cities though, so they're still going to have to make a new one right over underneath this lake. The red team is going to be pretty small, but they do take this major city. Like I said, the beige team did not really rebel back, so Persia is going to get a lot of the former beige team. Just to add the final nail in the coffin, there's also going to be a completely new country who didn't even want to rebel, but they got forced to, I guess, popping up over here, this cyan one. Mesopotamia, very cyclic. I mean, the red team just came back. They weren't gone for, they weren't gone for that long in our timeline. I mean, not our timeline, from our view. From our view, they were gone for a couple episodes. But, keep in mind, these early episodes happen over a long course of time. So the red team was probably gone for like a couple decades. By a couple, like 80 or 90, maybe even like a century. So yeah. Then they discovered this part of the Mediterranean. That orange Egypt thing takes over the rest of that land. And now they want some more developed land. So they're going to start their invasion of Hejaz, who also didn't really do much wrong, but they don't care. They push down, capture the major city, the capital, and then this major city. And the entire thing quickly falls. They actually managed to hold out over here and even reclaim this major city. Take some more land that's unclaimed. And Egypt says, you know what, you can be independent. So they are still going to be independent, but they lost their capital. They make their remaining major city their new capital, though. And they keep this land they captured around, this coast. I guess Somalia, they ramp along this coast. And they take some of it, but not too much. There's also going to be some people over in this area who discover that thing. Yemen. We should rename Yemen to that thing. And I just realized that I'm not coloring any of the Red Sea explored land. So, explored water, Let's just do that. Or here. Put them on. And so these tribal people, as well as immigrants, refugees, I guess, from Oman, Somalia, Egypt, and Hejaz, and the Nile, Northern Nile, I guess that's what I'll call it. They form another new country down here. Right over on this strait. Their capital is not going to be in between it or anything, because that would not work this early in history. I've learned from my mistakes over here. It's probably even worse here. So instead, they're just going to have their land separated in two pieces. They're pretty small, but they are decently powerful. They're decently powerful for the size. Obviously, they're not actually powerful. In India, there's a lot of exploration going down onto this southern, more like central part. And the dark green team, Indus River Valley, whatever you want to call it, takes a lot of this coast. That. The Persian guys, not too much happens with them, though. There's a tiny little war, more like a border scuffle. So this guy gets that land. That will change the course of the series forever. China, like I said, is kind of slowed down on expanding and even just growth in general. By this point, I'm not even sure if they're number 2, if they're number 1 anymore. Number 1 might be the blue team by now. Because, in fact, China's actually going to lose some of their inland land here as the people just kind of move back into the more central regions or decide that they want to go back to being tribal. So yeah, won't do any power rankings, but that is going to do it for this episode. And the world is starting to look very interesting over here. Most of So still nothing in the Americas or in Oceania, but there is a decent amount of countries in Africa, Europe, and Asia. How did I forget what Asia was called? Okay, I'm ending the video there. I'm too embarrassed.